such an honor to be here. I don't know if anyone can hear me, but such an honor to be here in such fine company and to celebrate our distinguished medalist here today with us. From 1966, we could not have imagined the music that has come forth, the ideas that were set in motion as a result of Professor Braxton's ways of thinking about music, how that music is received, how that music is transmitted, who performs it, who defines it. There's so many things that we can talk about that could inadequately describe the many contributions that this great man has made in the field of not only music, but arts more generally. Sorry, I'm emotional for a second, but it's nothing is more exciting than to be part of an era where a musician, composer, and thinker can come up with such a vast array of compositions, a vast array of writings, and a vast array of interviews and a lot of discussions, scholarship, so much that surrounds the making of music by this great man. The fact that so many of his compositions contain so many different syntaxes, so many different kinds of languages, ways of communicating with musicians, ways of communicating with composers and scholars. Were it not for the efforts of Professor Braxton, our landscape, not only in music composition, but also in music scholarship and in education, none of these things would have been transformed to the degree that they have been, where we are now in an era where we are no longer having this separatist notion regarding what is composition, what is spontaneous composition, what is formal composition. We have now arrived at just beginning to touch the surface of what that model really means for this generation and for future generations to come. Were it not for Professor Braxton's achievements, I myself would not have pursued this medium of music in the way that I have over the last 25, 30 years that I've been engaged in this music. I think for me, the importance of Professor Braxton's oeuvre is that it's had such a phenomenal impact to the point where all of us who have selected Professor Braxton to be this year's Medalist of Honor, all of us have discussed in great detail in our own relationship with our music, our own creative practices. We all discussed how the idea of self-definition is very important, particularly for musicians and composers whose work has long been marginalized by the media and by a number of other people, even within the field of music composition and within the field of music scholarship. Today, and maybe even as far back as 1966, Professor Braxton embodied this model. He's the person who embodied the model of self-definition, the advocacy of one's work in the way that they should advocate for themselves. The idea of really not only using tradition as necessarily a crutch for not moving forward, but really defining tradition for what it is, which is a celebration of the past, but not stopping there, but finding another mode of expression within yourself, utilizing all of the principles and all of the key components that come with that tradition of music which you're celebrating, the music which you're about witnessing. So, for so many reasons, we feel that Professor Braxton is most deserving of this honor this year. And I would like to now introduce to you our 2026 MacDowell Medal to Professor Dr. Anthony Braxton.
One, two, three, four. Okay, it's working. About 6 months ago, I went to the school in Boston where lots of experimentations taking place. Old friends of mine, students of mine, but it's reverse. I'm the student at this point in life, and then we have a new era coming in with incredible ideas, super percussion musics, and improvisations. We're witnessing the merger of a new era that's coming in. It's not about African Americans or white Americans, but it is about, what about the American women who have not been given an opportunity to experiment and evolve their work? But that's changing now. As for me, I don't kid myself. I'm a student of music. And that's all I want to be. I want to keep learning. I'm not interested in the fluff ball. I see the wonder of what we call creativity in music as a signal that there are cosmic components all over the place. It's really a question of dimension, lack of fear, fighting for what you believe in, or not fighting what you believe in. But there are positive things happening all over. This is my first time ever going past Boston, going into the I don't know what to call it. Then I come into this incredible space, and immediately there's a vibration in the air that gives a signal there's hope for change. In a strange kind of way, we find ourselves with what I'll call the governors. Things are moving forward. People are not being pushed back in the same way as my generation. I think of this super musician that I've known this guy for a while now. He was awesome when he came into Wesleyan. And by the time I left and by the time he left, I was the student and this guy was the teacher. And I learned a lot from him. I'm not from the zone that says I have all the answers. In fact, I don't even want the answers. I don't mean that in some kind of way that disrespects the tradition. I love the tradition. Whether we're talking of Johann Sebastian Bach, maybe we're talking about John Coltrane the next day. I won't talk about Mary Lou Williams. She reminds me of the early masters who did not get real opportunities. And at that point, once I understood that was happening, I began to put together different piles of information involving the creative masters who have also helped to reshape everything, but they don't get the acknowledgement of the great work that they've done. This has to change if we want our country to be healthy. We're in a time period right now that is complex. I think about what's happening in Germany. Germany is changing. Canada is changing. The political components of this time era have come together in surprising kinds of ways. And then to come to this incredible space, I'd like to personally say, well, number one, and I hate to say this, but I knew nothing about Mr. Edward MacDowell. I said, who is this guy? No one taught me about this guy. It's like, oh, man. Beautiful life. And while we are alive, there are all kinds of possibilities to get some work done and some knowledge. And so here I am. I've talked with several people to let them know that in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to send them a pile of information and books that can be put in the library for anyone who might be interested in the profound changes taking place right now as I speak. All over our country, people are taking a look at what has happened. We don't really need a king in America. We just need to come back together and remember how important it is to be nice with one another. As for me, I have a connection with this family, and for the rest of my life, I will look for ways to bring something to this great organization. There's so much more to go forward for. And I will not forget this experience ever. And who knows, I might come back again in the coming decade or whatever. I know this much. I think the creator of the universe is really something. There's all kind of opportunities, different groups of people who have grown up in different parts of our planet, where their spirituality on the surface looks like it's different from our personalities, but in fact, things are coming back together again. We need to figure out the proper balance that's coming in our way, that if we are successful and if we continue to have the kind of good luck we have, we can start looking at the stars. We can begin to looking for ways to bring in our children and the teenagers. We've got to help the young people. They don't know what's happening. And so I won't go much further, but I would like to say, hooray, hooray, for being alive, for discovering creativity. If you don't have hope, things can be complex. But if you come to understand your powers based on spiritual components, actual physical universe experiences, and zone number 3 of people that you've never met who hate you. I said, well, I hate myself sometimes. It's okay. The most important thing for me is if you fall down on the ground, get up. You can't do any music if you're on the ground. I would also say this before leaving. Don't be angry at the opposition. If you haven't made a mistake, you've made the biggest mistake of all. Because to be alive, you're not going to be able to be successful in every time period with the tools of every time. And so we need, in my opinion, we need to, as we start to look for different questions even, of how to come back, how to do our work. The boys' club is over. This guy and I, we're going to surprise everybody. We're going to come back here and open a new McDowell's. One hamburger costs $300. Oh, yeah. Okay, time is moving quick. I'll just say, from the bottom of my heart, I'm grateful to be alive. I'm not looking for money, but I'm looking for excellence and areas to explore. For me, this helps me to keep going and to have love for our Creator and not to consciously harm one another. And so I'll leave you with hooray for love, love, love. And we get up, we do our work, And we hope to evolve ourselves to be the best that we can do. Okay, thank you very much.